In this review of the week's news, an investigation into the collapse of the CTV building continues. A new contemporary art house could be on the cards for the central city, and did someone say magic? This is CTV News Week in Review. I'm Jared McCulloch. Police are hoping to know soon if any charges will be laid in relation to the collapse of the CTV building, with investigations continuing.
Police have now interviewed over 100 witnesses into the investigation of the CTV building collapse. A number of search warrants were carried out in June this year, focusing on records kept by the building's designer, Dr. Alan Ray. Furthermore, an engineering team has constructed a mini-scale CTV building for a testing phase which will take place at Auckland University next month. Results will provide a key basis for the decision-making process for police. For CTV Families member Man Al-Kaisi, it's a step forward in finding those accountable.
We're really waiting for some results that bring justice to those people who we lost. It's, as you know, it's been more than 4.5 years. So it's a very long process. And now we are really interested because we're at the stage of fast action, and now we are interested, of course, in some concrete results, some real action.
The investigation team are now using the New Zealand Police Electronic Crime Laboratory to assess searches of Dr. Ray's computer records. Al-Kaisi is hoping some hard evidence can be found after allegations that evidence relating to the building was destroyed by Dr. Ray.
A building collapsed, killing 115 people. You go and destroy the CD that got the design details and claim that I got the details on a memory stick. Why you do that? So, of course, we raised this issue with the police and we asked them, can you please check what was the reason behind the destruction of the CD. So if they find something, it will be really great also, because as I always keep saying, we need justice for those people.
The police are still unable to put a firm time frame around when a decision will be made, but are working towards a goal of later this year. Gordon Findlater, CTV News.
A royal inquiry into the Earthquake Commission is continuing to be pushed by Christchurch residents. Another Christchurch resident speaking out, still stuck 5 years on with earthquake damage. The scars from the quakes are still visible. Patched up work has been done, but now she's backing an inquiry into the Earthquake Commission.
I'm doing this because I so strongly support what Duncan Webb and others are doing to try and get a Royal Commission to review the processes that have gone on in EQC.
Griffiths has had 5 scope of works carried out over the past 5 years, 2 marked over cap, the rest under the EQC criteria. Her last one was from September last year.
The house does need to be reclad, but their costings are based on very partial recladding. Reclad 30% of this wall, 50% of that, none of that half, all of that bit.
Some of her minor work has already been completed around the home, but the exterior of the house is holding everything back, and it's also on a 30mm lean. She's had enough.
I think there needs to be a complete overhaul of the function of EQC.
Earlier this week, Labour's Megan Wood spoke to CTV's Lynched programme about the allegations and her call for an independent inquiry.
New Zealand will have another disaster at some point in the future, and we have to ensure that we learn from Canterbury, that we find out what has gone wrong, what's gone well, and that we actually put in place a system that is much more capable of dealing with the situation when we come to this again, and a Royal Commission is the perfect body to do that.
Taking her question to Parliament.
What will it take for him to start taking this seriously and launch an independent inquiry?
I do not believe that the excitement that some want to generate about some small amount of failure of meeting a compliance that might cost between $500 and $1,000 to fix, if found to be defective, is a reason to have an inquiry of the nature the member seeks.
Insurance lawyer Duncan Webb helped launch a petition to establish a Royal Commission about the alleged shoddy repairs and timeframes into the work.
What we know are the symptoms. We know that houses are not being repaired well. We know that there's accusations of nepotism and that there are suggestions of an integrity problem. But why did that happen? How did that happen? How can we avoid it next time? I think we need to delve a lot deeper.
However, EQC has now declared Griffith's property over cap, and now, like many, she just wants to move on.
I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I've got to somehow shift out. Got to sort of work out what to do with my life.
Jared McCulloch, CTV News. Canterbury Community Trust changed their name this week, the first major shake-up in the charity's 27-year-old history.
The Canterbury Community Trust has announced a historic change in its 27-year-old life.
Today's a really special day for us. We're changing our name. We're also announcing our annual results for the end of the financial year. So the name change, we're moving from the Canterbury Community Trust to Rata Foundation. First time we've changed our name, or major change, since we started in 1988.
As New Zealand's second largest philanthropic organisation, they cater to a much larger bracket than Canterbury.
And one of the issues we had, I suppose, with our name as Canterbury Community Trust, it didn't fully reflect all of our funding regions. So we cover Nelson, Marlborough, Chatham Islands and Canterbury. So for people living in those other regions, they didn't really feel like they belonged to us. So it's been quite a major exercise, but we feel that our name more fully reflects our inclusiveness and involves everyone in our four funding regions.
She says the organisation felt the confusion, especially throughout the aftermath of the quakes.
A lot of our applications actually dropped off because I think a lot of our applicants thought, well, the money belongs to Christchurch and they've been through a disaster, so we won't apply this year. But the reality is we were set up 27 years ago from the sale of the Canterbury Savings Bank, and that bank covered Nelson, Marlborough, Chatham Islands and Canterbury. So under our trust deed, we actually have to fund across all of those regions equitably. So we need to be fair across the way we give out money across all of the regions.
So, why did they go with Rata?
The name Rata has a really strong New Zealand identity. The tree itself, of course, has a brilliant flowering display in the forest. Its beautiful red flowers are well known to many New Zealanders. We felt it gave an organic sense to the foundation as well, and that the tree's always growing. The trunk also is always supporting the tree and is a foundation for us to grow on.
Over the last financial year, the Trust has helped 1,213 organisations with grants totalling $24.2 million.
We've had a really good year. Our investments have returned $10.1 million, which is the highest it's been since the global financial crisis and the second highest of our reserves since we started. So really good financial results. Not quite sure that this year is going to be as good, but at least now we've got some reserves in the bank that helps us for the rainy day.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Still to come, a contemporary art house could be making Christchurch home. Welcome back. Plans for the first contemporary art house in New Zealand is underway right here in Christchurch, with the council seeking public consultation on gifting council-owned land.
Christchurch City Council is asking Cantabrians what they think about gifting a piece of prime land in the central city to accelerate the rebuild of our cultural district. The proposed piece of council-owned land on the corner of Rolleston Avenue and Worcester Boulevard is currently used as a car park, with only 23 parking spaces available for public use.
Here is an opportunity to look at what would be quite a rich addition to the cultural precinct, with the arts centre being developed on the other side of the road, the museum, obviously the art gallery reopening on the 19th of December this year.
The Canterbury Museum and Ravenscar Trust announced today their plans for a new $13 million building to display the Trust's private collection of art, sculpture, designer furniture and classical antiques.
The project will be funded and developed by the Ravenscar Trust, using both the settlement monies on the earthquake insurance of the old Ravenscar house and the Trust's own resources. the Trust will gift the house to the people of Canterbury and Christchurch through the vehicle of the museum.
Dr. Susan Wakefield and her husband Jim previously housed their collection in a Trust-owned residence in Scarborough. The house received irreversible damage during the quakes, and the notable collection has been locked away in storage ever since.
This collection is totally New Zealand artists. There are no European artists in it.
The pair wish to gift the collection and building to Christchurch as a long-lasting legacy.
Well, we think we've got New Zealand's best architect, that he will do a fantastic job, and therefore we hope we are giving Christchurch another heritage building.
Mayor Leanne Dalzell says when the idea was proposed to council, they were overwhelmed with the generosity of the Ravenscar Trust and the Wakefields.
Because we are going out for consultation, I'll just leave it at that, but say thank you again very much for what is an extraordinary opportunity for our city to have a conversation about what a house museum, a unique proposition in the rebuild of our city, what that could mean.
The proposal goes out for public consultation tomorrow.
Actually, we welcome the opportunity to talk to the public about what this proposal could mean and to hear feedback from the public about what their views are. I think people have expressed over the years since the earthquakes a real desire to be involved in an engagement about what's going to happen inside the central city.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
A local resident is concerned about the quality of the city's rivers, saying it's time to have a conversation about the future of our waterways. It's not just water making its way down this river.
Scum, rubbish, and it's covered in this yellow powder stuff that we didn't know what it was. It's not pollen.
A concerned resident was shocked to see large amounts of rubbish in Dudley Creek and wants something done. Tingy contacted Environment Canterbury, who sent out a team to assess the river.
So it'll be really interesting to know what they come up with for this. Everywhere you look, there's pipes pouring water into it, off streets, off housing, everywhere there's water, and we don't know what that water's like. It just looks dirty. It doesn't look like a living stream.
Although the section of the river in concern has been cleared, she believes a wider talk needs to be had.
We all need to have a really big community conversation about how important fresh living water is to us. How important it's always been in Christchurch Otatahi.
It's not just residents though, but whitebait as well.
Which we're now having discussion about because they're dying and we're not having struggles with keeping them alive. And if we had fresh, clean water, it would be wonderful.
Acting Unit Manager for City Water and Waste, Tim Joy, says the Christchurch City Council's maintenance contractor regularly inspects and removes rubbish from the waterways. But issues can arise between inspections and residents are encouraged to report them to council, whether that be through phone or online. He says the main focus is to remove larger objects with rubbish being trapped in booms further down the river.
Basically, Christchurch, we're a garden city and this needs to be part of our garden.
She hopes the issue will be cleared up soon. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. They're a major part of our lives and there's now a chance to join the crew. Chelsea Daniels talks to the pilots and paramedics behind the scenes at the Air Rescue Trust.
The Canterbury West Coast Air Rescue Trust has been at our service for nearly 26 years, saving countless lives across a wide range of situations.
Essentially, for every hour the chopper is in the air, it's $8,625. So it's certainly a very expensive service to run. But you know, essentially you can't put a price on a human life.
Since 1989, the region's air rescue service has undertaken over 8,350 rescue missions, saving countless lives.
We do around about a little bit over 650 jobs per year. So of those, I guess, lives actually saved, I guess they're looking at around about, maybe 15 to 20% of those people. But of all of those people that we've got, the outcome for those patients is better in every single case.
During last year alone, the team made over 850 missions. And Prince says it wouldn't be able to happen without the generous donations they receive.
Our fundraising target every year is $7 million. So we get about 30% of our funding through government, but all of the rest we rely on companies, on the community. We rely on donations, and that totals $7 million a year.
So, what does a typical day look like for the crew? Stuart Farquhar is an air rescue pilot, and his isn't your typical workday.
One of the good things about being a rescue helicopter pilot is no 2 days are the same. So we don't really know what we're going to do from hour to hour, from almost minute to minute when we turn up at work. So we sort of start and finish our day at a certain time, but within that time period, we could be going, hundreds of miles out, well, not hundreds of miles out to sea, around about 100 miles out to sea. We could be going and rescuing somebody off the ski fields in the mountains, or just going down the road to, somebody's badly hurt themselves falling off a horse or having a car crash.
Along with the pilot, you've got your intensive care paramedic. Crew Chief Rick Knight says the team go through some pretty rigorous training to be able to administer the same medical interventions as you would in a normal circumstance in some pretty abnormal settings.
A lot of our other stuff that we train in is a lot to do with the environment that we work with. We do a lot of offshore jobs, water rescue jobs, river rescue work, high alpine, snow conditions, that sort of stuff. So a lot of our training is based on our own survival and how to look after ourselves and look after the patients as well.
And they have launched a new and exciting way that the public can get involved.
An exciting new thing that we've just launched is the Air Rescue Support Crew. So we're inviting people to come and effectively join the crew, and they sign up, and so you can do that for as little as $10 a month, up to $50 a month, and you will get registered to join the crew. You'll get invited along to a VIP event where you'll get to meet the crew. You can go into a draw to win a helicopter flight. There's wonderful merchandise that you'll receive, and you'll also go in the draw to potentially win $1,000 from Westpac. They've kindly donated that as one of our major sponsors.
But more importantly, you can be part of the amazing work that these guys do on a daily basis. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Still to come, some exciting news for our loyal viewers. Welcome back. Band of Magicians performed at the Isaac Theatre Royal this week. CTV News caught up with two of the members.
The world's first magic supergroup has arrived in Christchurch as a part of this year's arts festival. Band of Magicians opens at the Isaac Theatre Royal tonight, and the fully refurbished theatre couldn't be a more enchanted backdrop for such a magical show.
It's interesting. I mean, I've never been to a town that's sort of suffered what you guys have, but the stuff that's coming up is really incredible. There's like really fantastic design in the city, and like these wonderful little. Vegas also has a container park where all the stores are made out of containers and stuff like that. So it's actually like really cool stuff is happening here, which I'm into.
And the theatre as well, just kind of been rebuilt with some of its original stuff. It's amazing. We can't wait to get on stage.
Christchurch is the last stop on their magical tour, with rave reviews following the four magicians as they've made their way around the country.
It's been fairly smooth, yeah, as smooth as a tour can go. I mean, we have to live in each other's pockets literally for the last 6 weeks, which has been good. But no, we started in Dunedin, then went to Taranaki, Auckland, and this is our final stop. So what's cool is the show has changed so much from our debut in Dunedin. So we've now got a really strong show that we're so happy with.
They invite audiences to experience a world where just about anything could and does happen.
There's 4 of us in the show, and unlike other magic shows, it's not just a magician taking himself quite seriously and doing serious things for a couple of hours. We are 4 mates, and we're on stage a lot of the time just trying to make each other laugh and the audience laugh. So we want people to walk away from this going, wow, that was amazing, got no idea how they did it, and also having real good fun and really like having belly laughs at time. And
the 4 draw on their collective talents, creating a show one magician can't accomplish alone.
It's really interesting to be part of something that's greater than the sum of its parts. You've got.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, thanks, man. That just came out. you've got 4 magicians with different expertise in different things coming together, and we really are doing stuff that a solo magician just can't do.
The 4 lads met through their mutual love of all things magic, with the members hailing from Los Angeles, London and Sydney. And with all of their travelling experience aside, Christchurch has offered them something they've not experienced before.
Yeah, we met your wizards, right? You've got wizards here.
Yeah.
They're interesting, isn't they?
Swarming with wizards.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
They say if you are entertained by magic you see on TV, then seeing it in person is a whole different experience.
We start tonight, and we're here obviously Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 shows Saturday, and apparently, by all accounts, it's selling really well. But there's a couple of tickets left, so if you think people might like it, come and see it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a great family show, and it's not a kid show. It's obviously appropriate for children, but like it's everybody's going to get something out of it.
And if the boys could sum it up in one-word answers,
It's
fun,
amazing,
astonishing,
spectacular,
sentimental at times. That's more than one word, but I've joined it.
hilarious. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. You get the idea.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Some exciting news for our CTV viewers as the future of this company takes a changing course. Chelsea Daniels explains.
Star Media has announced today its plans to purchase CTV, merging the 2 companies under the subsidiary company Go Network.
Yeah, so today Star Media, our Go Network subsidiary, which is our digital streaming subsidiary, has announced that we're purchasing CTV, effective from the 12th of October.
He says the news is an exciting step for local broadcasting in Canterbury, bringing the CTV brand back to local ownership.
Initially, things for the loyal viewers of CTV and for the loyal readers of The Star and our community newspapers, things will pretty much be the same. We are going to be operating at some point in October from a new studio, but we hope to maybe make some changes and make things look better. But in the long term, the goal is to keep putting out more local information and entertainment.
In an age where national news and content is overwhelming, he says the merge will only solidify the importance of homegrown content.
At the Star and Star Media Group, we're passionate about it. We're locals. We're a locally owned business. Charlotte and myself, who own the business, live here. We're bringing up our family here. So I think it's really important that we keep strong local news and information. Some of our colleagues at the bigger media companies are doing much more national reporting, and they're working out of what they call hubs and national offices, and that's fine at a national level, but we really want to keep the focus on local news for people of Christchurch and Canterbury.
He says the integration of the 2 locally based media companies brings an exciting chance to add new shows and more free content for Cantabrians.
If you think about the fact that it's free, a lot of other TV in this country you have to pay for, and we think that good TV doesn't need to be paid for, and good news doesn't need to be paid for. I mean, our newspapers are all free as well, the Star being the main one, but we have all our community newspapers, and the idea is that we can tell the stories of locals to locals, and of course that we can help local businesses advertise and reach those local customers.
And it's not only local viewers that will benefit.
And part of this, bringing these two, the great CTV brand together with the great Star brand effectively, is that we can really help local businesses reach the people of Christchurch and Canterbury in an even better and more cost-effective way.
He says CTV will be a viable asset to Go Network, being the leading local news and content provider in New Zealand.
The great thing about CTV is it's unique in the country. There are other local TV stations, but none of them do what CTV does. None of them produce as much local information and content, and none of them have as big an audience. So it has by far the biggest audience of any local, audience being people watching it, of any local TV in the country.
The merge will officially take place on October 12th, with CTV conducting business as usual until then. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.